Hello, everyone. How are you today? Thank you so much for joining in. My name is 𝐖𝐞𝐛𝐢𝐧𝐚𝐫, and I will be your host for today's interesting topic, Cashless 101. I would like to thank our audience who are participating from across the world for the newest session of Xenial webinar series. Xenial webinar series was introduced as a mode of spreading knowledge for our community, which includes freelancers, suppliers, and our partners towards our event industry, so we can upscale our knowledge and keep our community together. We believe we can make a difference, but only together. And now, the most important announcement, we are honored to introduce our special guest, Mr. Jason Thomas, Global CEO of Tappit, a cashless payment system technology for events, venues, and stadium. Jason has a proven track record of leading international teams for events across Europe, Asia, and North America, working for companies such as Sony, Virgin, HMV, and Universal. Now, Jason is managing clients such as AEG, Live Nations, Formula One, and many more. Jason will be sharing some insights about understanding cashless, bursting myths and benefits of cashless in the new normal for our event industry. Thank you so much, Jason, for coming today. We are pleased to have you here.
Thank you very much. You're welcome.
With Jason, we have another guest today. Her name is Jenny Young. She is the CMO of Tappit. Hi, Jenny. How are you?
Hi, very good. Thank you. Good to be here.
Same here. We are pleased to have you both here. So, Jason, let's go to our first poll question.
Yep.
So, audience, what do you think? Have you ever used cashless technology at any event? What do you think? You have three options called yes, no, not sure. What do you think? Jason, we got like 75%. Yes, they have used. No, not sure. Also, we have 10, 9. All right, we have a few more seconds for the audience to answer. All right, Sahil, let's lock the question. So, Jason, as per the audience, we see like yes, 61% have used cashless technology, 33% no, and not sure about 6%. Sahil, let's go to another question, another poll question, which is, do you agree cashless technology is beneficial for events? Audience, what do you think? Agree, 100% for now. Unsure and disagree. So you can answer agree, unsure, or disagree. What you guys think about it? So yeah, Sahil, I think we can log the responses. So Jason, we got like 72% people who agree that it's going to be beneficial, unsure 16%, 12% disagree with it. Thank you so much, audience, for your responses. And now we would like Jason to take the screen. Jason, it's all yours. All
Sure.
the best.
Thank you very much, and thank you for everybody who's joined us. Very interesting actually to see that poll, and sounds as though I might have a relatively friendly audience because most of you people do see a benefit in cashless. What I'm going to do is really rattle through these slides. I don't really want to spend too much time going through individual elements. I'm more really interested in answering questions and seeing if we can sort of debunk a few of the myths that I think still float around cashless solutions. So in relation to ourselves, you know, as mentioned by Pramit earlier, we deal with a lot of big partners and big client events. Although what I would say is I think we deal with events of all different sizes and across all different territories. I think year to date we've worked in 17 countries year to date, and those have been events of all different sizes, all different sectors. I think you know, we'd like to think that, you know, we have solutions, and no matter what the demographic of your fans are or your internal infrastructure technically. So I think, you know, from our perspective, really, you know, it'd be really good now to see what kind of solutions that, you know, cashless companies, or some cashless companies certainly do offer, and what they really mean for clients and fans. So I think from our perspective, really, cashless kind of comes in two main forms. One of them is traditional RFID, and what I mean by traditional RFID is you see that a lot at festivals where there's no Wi-Fi, so it might be wristbands as an example, or cards, or any type of wearables. It can even be preloaded tickets as well, as an example. And then also another one of our solutions that tends to be more used in fixed stadia are mobile solutions. And from a mobile solution perspective, there's kind of two flavors to that, really. One of them is, again, a preload option where you can link it to your bank account or your credit card or Google Pay, Apple Pay, etc. And then the other element is a wallet, effectively, where what's happening is when you go to pay for goods, it's automatically going via the app again, and the fan app. But again, it's coming directly out, a little bit like an Oyster card that we use in Europe, as an example. So those are the couple of different flavors of really what we do. And the element that ties that all together really is a reporting suite that gives event organisers insights into the client. And I think that's really probably the main element, really, to say that the key difference between what we do and say a Google Pay or an Apple Pay or a credit or debit card do, which are all some people do consider as cashless or contactless, is effectively all the data from the attendees goes back to the organisation. And that's a really key element, because I think historically, what you don't see is with contactless payments, and certainly you don't see with cash, is the behaviour of your attendees inside your event. And in most cases, you don't even know the names of the vast majority of your attendees, because they've effectively 3 or 4 tickets may have been bought just by one person. So I would say there's 3 main strands, really, to the benefits of what we do, and really, again, it's via those insights. So you'll see there, obviously I'm not going to go by line by line, but you'll see again all that really useful, insightful data that you get on the fan, which increases profitability because your revenues increase. As an example, because transactions are quicker, you can get increased sponsorship, because for the first time you can give to your sponsors some really rich data on your fans and their behaviour. And also, one key element is, because you get this behavioural data, you can obviously then do personalised offers back to your fans based on their actual behaviour, rather than a generic marketing email. But key to this, I think, really is improving the fan experiences. The insights really have got to be used to improve that fan experience. The adoption is always very healthy when they see a real benefit to having a cashless solution, and that can be, again, via shorter queues, again, those personalised offers, which can be done via digital vouchers, as an example. So you can say somebody buys a particular SKU at an event, they can get 1 free, or they can get 2 free drinks for a particular ticket type. And of course, at the moment, there is the enhanced security and the enhanced safety, particularly in light of COVID. So those are the sort of top line benefits, really. If we go on to the next slide, Jenny. So I think let's look now at really some of the myths, and sort of let's help to debunk some of those, hopefully. So we've got contactless, we don't need cashless, and that's a question we get quite a lot. And as I mentioned earlier, the key difference there is you may have contactless, but you're building the data ecosystem for the banks and for the credit card companies. They're getting that information. You're not getting any insightful information on the fan whatsoever. So the key difference here is we're helping build your data ecosystem, so that you can break down the barrier between you and the fans. And I think because of this kind of technology, it really does give you some insights that can do many things for you. As I say, identify who's bought what and when. You can do those personalized targeted activations. You can start to recognize who your most loyal customers are and incentivize them and reward them accordingly. one of the key things as well for major venues is, you know, if they're sporting venues as an example, one of the key drivers for them at the moment is to try to get events outside of the football season or the sporting season, the rugby season, etc., wherever it may be, and to really be able to target visitors that come for other events. So in the North America, as an example, you might have a rodeo go to a particular venue that's outside of the NFL season. And the key is here, you can now start to pull in all that data from every type of fan that uses a particular venue as an example, and you can start to really then convert casual visitors into more regular visitors. So there's lots and lots of benefits, actionable decisions you can actually make based on this data for the first time. And that really is the key difference. Is yes, there are a lot of benefits in cashless from from a speed perspective and an operational benefits perspective and cost savings, but the key to it really is helping pull in that data from whichever source you want, whether it be the ticket in data or whether it be the data around transactions, to really give you one view of your fan for the first time. So that's that one. And then if we look at the next question here, is it's a hassle to implement. Just go on to the next slide then, Jenny. I think in relation to going to cashless, I do think, again, there's probably a lot of confusion, and companies like ourselves have probably never done a good enough job in really educating, I guess, potentially people who are considering using cashless. And I think we need to do a better job in really showing how easy it is. I think the first thing that we do really is really meet with people to understand whether we think going cashless for the client does actually add value to the event and fundamentally to the fan experience as well. So really we consider ourselves a consultancy company in some ways, because we like to talk to potential clients around, you know, what's the current technical infrastructure? Do they have Wi-Fi, for instance? Don't they have Wi-Fi? You know, what's the demographic of the fans? Are they likely to use a fan app so you can use the mobile solution, or are they more likely to, you know, use wristbands as an example? And then I think, you know, it's then about looking into more detail about doing site visits. But then I think point 3 is probably in some ways the key point, which is really explaining and educating the staff first and foremost about the benefits of it and how easy it is for them to use, how it's going to make their life easier. And I think that training of both the organisation and also then the education starts very early with the fans as well, to tell them what to expect when they come to site. I think although you can actually do the technical integration extremely quickly, I think we really like to work with clients where we feel as though we've got enough time to actually, you know, to join their marketing efforts in, if you like, in educating fans before they come to the event. Where I've actually seen cashless not integrated as well as you would like, I think is where it's probably been rushed by certain people and certain organisations, and they've really not educated the fan on their expectations early enough. We'll go on to the next slide, please. Going cashless will take far too long. So again, as mentioned earlier, you know, there's a testimonial obviously here from an event we did, you know, where we did it in 8 days before the start of the event. It's not what we'd like ordinarily. We have delivered a Grand Prix, I think, in 7 days, so I think we did beat that. So yeah, technically, as mentioned earlier, it really doesn't take a long time to do, and we'll come on to it in a second. I think part of that is you know, the work with the IT team, because if we go on to that, Jenny, because it does work with the current infrastructure of your really that you have as an event. So whether it be your POS system, your CRM system, your ticketing partner, we're completely agnostic, and we work with all those partners really, so that you don't have to, you know, you've not really got any hardware considerations, you've not got any really onerous technical things to consider. And as I say, it can actually be done extremely quickly. But I think, again, that technical cooperation between both parties and with the the third part is as well is really key to that. And again, we like those conversations sooner rather than later. Okay, next question. My visitors don't want cashless. I think, as mentioned earlier, really I think the benefits are really clear to fans, but I think, you know, again, we really try to help in making that clear before they come to an event, and they have to see the benefits, whether it's less queues and spending more time with their friends and watching the band or watching the sport in action. You know, it will speak for itself. But what I would say with COVID-19 is, I think, you know, more than ever before, there's definitely demand for event owners, if you like, ensuring that the fans and the staff, you know, are safe. And I think obviously cashless in this sense really does do that, and particularly with QR codes, because which is the technology we work with, because you really don't have to do any touch. You know, you can do it from a significant distance. So I think, yeah, I think actually from a fan perspective, it's getting through now quite clearly of the benefits of cashless, but there's still work to do. And I think, again, you know, the move towards cashless, you know, you'll see some stats there. There's some really interesting stats where, you know, 300 cash machines are disappearing every day in the UK. Every month in the UK currently. Less than 1% of transactions in Sweden last year were cash. And I think even pre-COVID, that march towards a cashless society was definitely starting. That's not to say there isn't a place for cash, because I imagine that there probably is still, but I think COVID is only really just accelerating that move. Next one. We can't go cashless. Our event is in the middle of nowhere, no internet available. Okay, I did cover this off slightly, but certainly many of our systems work offline. So that's not really an issue. And again, I think that's down to that consultancy stage at the start to understand the infrastructure and which solution is really best suited. In most cases, some kind of RFID solution, as I say, that does work offline, can work really well in solutions in greenfield sites, as an example. And this is just an example, really, again, of where one of the events we did in Vietnam, where there was absolutely no connectivity whatsoever. And we'd like to think that fans were still happy, and there was certainly no issues in relation to delivering an event that was successful as part of the overall event experience for the fan. You have control of my money. I think this is really a question, I guess, in relation to the event owner. And the reality is, again, we don't touch the money. We don't touch the data either, for that matter. Certainly in relation to the funds, we link directly again to the payment provider that the event works with, and it goes straight into the bank accounts. We still have PCI compliance and all the regulatory aspects, but we've done that more as a result of giving people comfort, because we don't actually touch the money. There's just no benefit to us. Again, I'm not going to go over a lot of these points, but I think, you know, if you've got an appetite to really understand your fan and really get close to your fan and improve that fan experience, you know, if you want to reduce fraud, if you want to increase your profits, you know, if you want that reconciliation element to be easier, you know, if you want a better relationship and a more lucrative relationship with your sponsors, as an example, you know, we feel as though there's definitely benefits to cashless. But, you know, I don't want this to sound like a sales pitch for cashless. So I think, again, going back to one of the points I made earlier, I think, you know, it does need a lot of discussion. I think it is still a big decision for potential clients. And I think, as I say, the demographic of your fan base, you know, your internal infrastructure, all those things really need discussions, because a bit like ticketing companies in a way, you know, I've seen good cashless solutions where it's worked really well with the event owner, and I've seen not so good. I think, it all comes down to planning. It all comes down to expectations, setting those expectations, making sure operationally, it's robust. And I think fundamentally it comes down to improving the fan experience. I think if the fans get a better fan experience than they've had previously, which they really should if it's integrated and implemented properly, then I think it's a bonus for everybody who's involved in it, really. Okay, so that's that one. I think we're back to another poll here, Pramit. So what do you think the biggest benefit of cashless technology is? So I'll be really interested actually in this.
So as per our audience, we can see like they can reduce fraud and theft, understanding customer behavior, reducing risk of COVID-19, operational savings.
That's actually really interesting. I'll give you a stat actually that sort of backs up some of that, which is they say now on average, current findings are that between 5 to 8% on average of your full revenues for an event go towards fraud and theft. So 5 to 8% it comes straight off your bottom line in relation to that, which obviously is completely negated if you're not dealing with cash.
Yeah, exactly. Sahil, can we just lock the? So all right, like as per the audience, we can still think like it reduces fraud and theft. This is what we can believe as well. So the benefits gonna be cashless is about fraud, thefts, which can go towards like while selling the tickets or funds are going using the fake accounts. Also, like we have seen a lot of events where people buy tickets like at the first go from different websites and they're being cheated. So Sahil, can we go to the next slide, please? All right. So first, like, thank you so much, Jason, for describing about cashless and contactless technology, what you guys have got, and it's really nice. I have also worked with one of your events in Abu Dhabi. I think it was Mother of the Nations.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, it was really seamless towards, and people also loved like how they don't have to worry about cash. They don't have to go. They have to have cash with them, so they can do the transaction just through the card and just the RFIDs or NFC chips they can scan. So like before we go to the questions, I have like a small question we got like a lot of people if they are asked about. I know it's more about technology, but just like a gist of what's the difference between this NFC and RFID? Are they the same or kind of different?
It's a different technology. I'm not sure most fans significantly know the difference. But basically for RFID, we use basically a QR code, which is universally used by people in lots of different elements. We can use NFC. We don't use NFC in the majority of cases. And I think actually there's probably a reason for that. I think it depends on the territory. As I say, we work in, just shy, I think, out of 20 countries, and there's a different attitude to it depending on which country you go to. But I think in general terms, there seems to be a little bit more trust around QR codes rather than NFC. And one of those is, I think, when you go to pay with QR code, you can use your fingerprint or other types of technologies, but you can certainly use biometrics to log in to pay. Also, not all phones recognize NFC as an example, and also people have to remember to turn the NFC on. And I've been to a few events where I've seen queues caused because people haven't got their NFC turned on in the phones. So and again, NFC with Apple phones is a proprietary tech, which again, I think there's people again have concerns around that. But I think if Google and Apple Pay obviously use an NFC, but again, the thing to really remember there is the fact that they're collecting your data and they're building their ecosystem rather than yours. So there's a place for NFC, there's a place for QR codes, but there are some relatively significant differences. At the moment, the majority of our events, as I say, we use QR codes.
Yeah, right. So you have also answered another question that we have. I'm just gonna say the question. So it's just like, how safe is it to use the app to pay, like such as Google Pay or Apple Pay? What is your advice for someone that is having second thoughts to use a service like Apple Pay or Google Pay?
I mean, I think again, it's extremely secure. I mean, with our app as an example, the way our mobile solution works, it goes into the app of the organisation itself. So if you support a football team as an example, our app will sit within the football team's app, so you wouldn't know it was Tappit. And because, again, you can link that to Google and Apple Pay, your account to it, there's that extra level of security because effectively, as I say, you then need to generate a QR code, a one-time QR code. So it's Google and Apple Pay is perfectly safe, absolutely. But we add that extra level of security, if you like, which again, in some territories does seem to be quite key. I think you can't add enough security, I think, for some people, quite understandably.
Yeah, that's good. We got another question from one of our attendees, you spoke about like cashless technology and Tappit are using for mostly on the live events. What do you think about the consumer shows, some of like the exhibitions? Do you think it can be used there or implemented there?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we've done shows, exhibitions, etc., where it can be used. I think, as I sort of mentioned earlier, the thing to understand with our kind of technology is that it is middleware. So we have clients who want to pull that data in from lots of places. So, as an example, we have some clients who literally, as soon as a fan arrives, they'll pull it in from the parking data. So basically you go to pay for your parking and it pulls the data in. Then in a fan park, before they enter a stadium, as an example, or the event itself, again, via transactions, they can pull that data in. We can link it to the ticketing data and access control. We can then do it, we then do it obviously with food and beverages or the pro shop. So whether it be an exhibition or transport or a hotel or sport generally, events, music, exhibitions, it doesn't really matter. Anywhere where you think it's important to speed up the process and pull that data in so you get that one view of the fan, we can certainly do. I mean, I think, again, it comes down fundamentally to the whole point of, a lot of people are using cashless for events, but now, we're in discussions with, whole cities, for instance, and in the Middle East even, that want to go completely cashless. We talk to, ski resorts or casinos or, cruise liners as an example, and it's a society thing as well as an events element. So it doesn't really matter what type of data you're wanting to pull in. It can be really done anywhere, and I think, again, that's part of that consultation process of really understanding whether we can add value to this or not.
Right, that's absolutely true. So this brings to another question, how successful do you think going cashless will be good for our economy level?
From an economy perspective, I mean, I think, as I mentioned earlier, the first move to cashless has already started. You see that start with Sweden as an example. And I think, from the perspective of COVID now, I think it's only, like I said earlier, it's only going to accelerate it. And I think, society is moving away from cash, and I think it'll be seen eventually in the same way as, when you looked at the internet and streaming, how it revolutionized how we listen to music and how we watch movies, as an example. People aren't going to go back to CDs, cassettes, or VHS. So I think from that perspective, the movement's already started, and it will be accelerated now due to COVID. And I think on an economic level, it's got really, really significant benefits. Again, for both businesses, certainly, because, as I say, they will hopefully, get that data and really improve elements of any kind of interaction between them and attendees. And certainly economically, as I say, there's certainly, on a bigger level, there's certain operational savings, revenue increases. So yeah, I think it can only be a good thing. But again, I would say, you need to be vigilant because, like anything, as I mentioned earlier, with cashless, or banks or everything, there's good and bad people practicing out there. So I think, again, you need to go around the right routes, use the most robust of businesses to do it with, and make sure, again, you're doing it in a sensible way, and again, that you're putting the attendee at the center of it.
Yeah, exactly. That makes a lot of sense. We got another question. It says, is events the right field to enter at the current state of things?
God, that's a really good question. It probably doesn't. I'm sure there's people on the call now where it maybe doesn't feel like that. Listen, I think people are always going to be passionate about certain things in their lives, and and I think in a crazy way, probably COVID has maybe even exacerbated that missing feeling of being in a tribe, if you like. So I actually think once events come back online, and again, it's different everywhere in the world. Our challenges at the moment is, depending on which state in the US we're dealing in, or, where in the Middle East we're working, or, where in Europe, everybody's got a different opinion on when certain events are going to come back on. But I think what is really clear, whether you look at surveys or just, I think your common sense tells you that, if I'm a huge football fan, I'm not going to stop being a football fan. When COVID's over, I'm still going to go back and watch my local team.
Right.
Your favourite 5 or 6 bands, if they're playing at a festival, you're still going to want to go see that festival. And I think what COVID has really done is, it's really, people have realised now what they've been missing, which is getting together in those tribes and sharing experiences with people who have the same loves as they do, as an example. So I actually think it'll come back stronger than ever. But at the moment, there is obviously, you see various stats about where festivals are, maybe struggling for next year, etc. And I totally understand that. But I think we just need to ride it out. And I think innovative companies and innovative and forward-looking businesses, they will come out of it stronger. And that's where they need to look at solutions where, it's going to help them come out of it, and it's going to give confidence to their own staff and to fans that, COVID will mean things will never be the same again, and you have to put the safety of those people at the forefront of it. So now's the time for action, and I think again to really look at your business model and say, is there a way of doing it better?
Yeah, right. So here also, like if you see in GCC, like in UAE, people are out, even like the government have said 100% people can go to the offices. People are waiting for events to get started. It's just about the health and safety of people. The measures has been taken well. And I think like it's going to go live very soon as per what we can see. And even in Germany, they started doing like small events, like for 30 to 50 people. They have been going just the distance measures they have to take care of. And rest, I think it's all good.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm still very optimistic about the events business. And as I say, I think, there'll be certain events that will certainly still come back online this year, hopefully. But next year, I think people will have a bumper year as long as I say, they've listened to what fans and staff say and they've acted accordingly.
Yeah, exactly. We got another question. Focusing on stadiums, are you running your events in series, or do you manage each stadium event individually?
Sorry, what was that question, Pramit?
Focusing on stadiums, are you running your events in series, or you manage each stadium events individually?
Not 100% sure what that question means, if I'm honest, but I'll have a crack at it anyway. So the way we work with stadiums is we work with them on a season by season basis. So we do have long-term contracts with most stadiums. Most of the time it's 5 to 10 years. And effectively, we work on full seasons. So we will either link it depends again on the demographic of the fan and the infrastructure, but with stadiums, we'll either link our solution to an existing season ticket, and that season ticket then works from an access control perspective as normal, but it works in the club shop to pay for things. It works at the food and beverage and concessionaires, and again, all that data goes back to the club. Or the other way we work with stadiums, again, is it works via the app. And if they, so we work with some stadiums where the adoption of the app might be 70 to 80% of the fans. So they'll tend to go down an app route. And again, that app will do exactly the same thing. It will pay for anything in the fan park or even from a parking perspective, club shop. And again, everything within the stadium. And again, that data goes back. So yeah, we work. But what we then do is we then analyze the data with the stadiums and the organisations on a week by week level. So they have a portal where they can see all the data and all that information we mentioned earlier on the fans. But we will then work with them on a weekly basis after every match to really help them understand operationally what's changing, what isn't, where improvements can be made, and what the data is really telling them. So I think if I understand the question, it's a little bit of both, which is everybody sits on the same platform, but we effectively deal with them on a stadium by stadium level.
Okay, and another point to it is about the funds. Like, just in case if I've added my funds into my card, and can I just use it for different events as well, or I can get refunded out of it, or how does this technology work on?
Yeah, sure. So it depends again if you have the pay-as-you-go, if you like, wallet solution, or whether if you have the preload. If you have the pay-as-you-go, then effectively what happens is that it just comes out of your account effectively that you've linked to the solution. If it's a preload, then you may put $50 on it as an example, and then pay for things again within the event using that. And then post-event, you will get that refunded that you've not spent. Or you can do an auto refund if that's what the client decides on, and it can go straight back to the fan. We do have some organisations who it goes towards next year's ticket or a charity. So again, it's up to the client, and they set the rules, and we just basically follow it. We do obviously advise them on what's worked well and what hasn't in the past. But yeah, again, it will be up to the client on setting the rules.
Oh, okay. There's one special question says about cryptocurrency. Cryptocurrency role in near future and impact of blockchain technologies in current market. What do you have to say about that?
Crypto. Yeah, I mean, I think for us, our kind of solution, because we're completely agnostic, as I mentioned earlier, we can really add anything to our solution. So if we want to add a cryptocurrency to the mobile solution or the RFID, then we can certainly do that. I mean, I think whether it be blockchain or crypto or any of those elements, we just listen to what our clients want and our fans want, really. And if they want us to add crypto or blockchain or anything, we can certainly add that. And I think we just add what we feel as though is going to add value. What I would say is, again, in the current market, as we mentioned earlier, a lot of clients are looking for innovative solutions. So again, anything that can be added that is beneficial to the fan is, I think we're all going to do.
Okay. There's another one which says about coupons and offers. So do you think we can add those coupons and offers and give it to the clients for maybe to boost sales?
Yeah, it's a really good question, actually. Yeah, we work a lot actually with our clients on that basis. The great thing about cashless solutions or certainly some cashless solutions, is that you can add digital vouchers. So I think I mentioned it earlier, where you could add it to a particular ticket type, that if they, it might be an early bird as an example, that they get 2 free drinks, and you can add those digital vouchers to the solution. So that if they go up with a wristband or the mobile as an example, it will recognise that they've got a couple of vouchers then, and it'll remit it when they go to the bar. And the great thing, obviously, again, around the fact that they will receive all the data from the fan behaviour is you can start to push digital vouchers that are really aimed towards the behaviour of that fan and what he or she may have bought previously. If you can see, that individual, buys a particular type of food or soft drink or whatever, then you can set vouchers based on that. Or you can even set monetary. We've got some clients who set monetary vouchers. So, if they spend £10, then, or $10, should I say, they get an extra $2. And the great thing again about a cashless solution is you can link it to your loyalty and your rewards. And so when you go up to, if you've got over a certain loyalty point, it will automatically take off that $2 that you may have got to, because you've got to a certain loyalty point. So it's a really good way of incentivizing fans to see the benefits again of cashless, because they're not just getting digital vouchers they wouldn't have got previously, but they're getting them aimed towards something they've bought previously.
Okay, so it has to get linked with their account when they are they have to set up their account, then only they can do these coupons and get the benefits out of it. If just it's a one-day event, people are just buying those tickets on site, they just get the RFID chips and then they go. So that will be implemented on those as well, or it's they have to create an account to this?
Yeah, well, by the nature of RFID, if you are setting up an account, you've got to effectively register, and you tend to do that again when you're purchasing your ticket. So again, whether you're buying on the day or not, or you're buying in advance, you can still set those digital vouchers.
Oh, okay.
And you can even push digital vouchers after the event has started as well. So if you've got an overstock of something, or you've got a particular sponsor who's trying to push something, you can even push those digital vouchers during the event, which can be really useful.
Okay. About so you said about this the vouchers details. So how does it goes for the clients just to have the reports? Is it real-time reports just in case they want to see about the audience who are coming or the people who are selling in the venue?
Yeah, so as I mentioned it earlier around the fact they have a portal. So if they've got a Wi-Fi solution, then that will be absolutely in real time. If not, it will be when they get any kind of connectivity. But that's a really key element, is the fact that they've got in real sense that real-time reporting. You can actually see some operational trends starting. So you may, without being necessarily on site, you could see that particular bar has slowed down in relation to transactions. So you can see if there's an operational element there. You can move staff around based on obviously where most of the transactions are coming through. You can see your SKUs as an example of what's selling well, what isn't selling well. You can even see which vouchers are being used if you're using that digital voucher. So the fact you've got that portal is actually really useful. So what we found with clients is that they're either reading the portal in real time and then post-event and analysing it, or a little bit of both.
Okay, that seems good. There's another one which says how to convince people to go cashless if they don't have card or smartphones, has applications providing cashless transactions.
Give them my number. I think, the benefits, I think, speak for themselves, but I think it comes back to the point I made right at the start. I think we need to do a better job in helping clients educate fans as to the benefits of it. And I think, again, as I mentioned earlier, you need to understand the demographic of your fan base. And, if we feel as though demographic doesn't have cards or smartphones, there is still a way of effectively doing some element of cashless. So as an example, you can still preload RFID with cash at an event. It's not something you'd necessarily recommend, because there are obviously then operational bottlenecks, if you like, or can be if it's not managed properly. But it's really about understanding the demographic. I was speaking to a big football club recently who actually wanted to go down the mobile app route. But actually, when you spoke to them in detail, you realise that their fans are just not engaged at this present moment in time with the app, and they've come in more from a cash perspective at the moment is the fan base. So we're now working with them to link it to the season ticket, because I think the adoption will be much heavier, because every season ticket holder has a season ticket, and then we'll go down the mobile route with them and evolve it when we feel as though their fans are ready. So it's getting that happy medium, I think, between listening to your fans, which you've always got to do, and your attendees, but equally also trying to push them into an area sometimes that that is going to benefit them. I mean, again, you do have, I think, as an event owner, you do have the benefit of that kind of tribal attitude. I'll give you an example. The football team I support, and I won't name them because they're terrible, but the football team I support, if somebody tells me that I've now got to put my season ticket on my mobile and I've got to pay for things in the club with my mobile, I'm not going to start supporting a different football team. I might moan a little bit if I didn't see the advantages, but as soon as I start to see the benefits, I'd stop moaning about it. So I think you've got to push that. And I think what COVID has done now, the big difference we've noticed in the last 2 months as a business is that I think clients that were going to go, maybe they were going to, if it was a stadium provider as an example, who were maybe going to sit cashless as one option by the side of cash, and now deciding to go 100% cashless in some occasions. And some of the clients who were slightly fearful of the fans' reaction are now deciding to go down the cashless route because they feel as though COVID gives them that one-off kind of opportunity to do something they always really wanted to do.
Fair enough. That's good. Guys, do you have any more questions to ask Jason? We got a question. It's about, I think I have the answer for it. It says like Tappit can run hybrid solutions. Like if I have a cash and I did not put it on your card, like how do you do that? Is it a hybrid or how does it work?
Yeah. Again, we have hybrid solutions. So as I sort of just mentioned there, really in a way, we have some clients who they want to do it by the side of still the traditional payment methods. And again, I think there's lots of different ways of doing it. So I'm working with one client at the moment who is still a little bit fearful, and they still want to offer cash, even though they know they're not going to get the data, they know the queues are going to be longer, and they're not going to get the benefits. But what they've decided to do is still offer cash, but make it difficult for people to pay by cash. So out of the concourses, there might be two terminals where you can pay cash, and the rest is going to be a digital solution. So they're making it harder. Some clients, they might go 50-50. But I think whichever way you decide to integrate it, you let the data and the fans really tell you how quickly they want it to be adopted. We've worked with clients where, cashless started as a 20%, 20% as an adoption level, and 20% of their bars just took cashless. And in then following years, it's up to 50, 70, 80% because they've just seen more people want to use it. So it's really up to you how quickly you want to evolve it, really.
Yeah, I think like it's really good to go cashless because as per this technology also, we can understand like how we can manage our accounts where we have already spent, if we can get some bonuses, and even for the clients to manage things. And the process is really faster than the usual tickets. You can get the tickets on your Tappit, like on the wristband. So everything is there. You just walk in, tap it, you go inside, pay, drink. There's another question, Jason. I think it's the last question which we got. I don't know. It says about exchanging V cards between two attendees, exchange of personal profile. How it can be done?
I don't know if I totally understand the question, but I'll have a crack. So each individual registers as an example. If you're talking about exchanging tickets, then that would obviously go via the ticket provider as an example. But that new attendee would have to register their own profile and set up their own bank account or credit card linked to the solution. So that what they couldn't do then is obviously use your bank account or your credit card that's linked to the app or linked to the RFID solution. So there's a lot of security around that to ensure people can't use your means of pay.
Okay, like exchange of profiles with each other. Like I don't think so. It's possible. Like attendees or the visitors who are coming in, they can't exchange their own profiles using this.
No, they can't. So what happens is when you register, you get a unique ID. So that unique ID in the back end of the system is the ID then that's used with the ticketing integration, with the CRM integration, with the POS integration. So that is linked to you as an individual. It's linked to your complete profile, name, address, maybe even finger identification, etc. So you can't possibly mix profiles. And this goes back to one of the points Pramit made earlier, where one of the issues that event owners and stadium owners have is they don't know the majority of their attendees. Because if you look at the NFL as an example, where the NFL on average 4 tickets are bought by one account holder. So one account holder will buy for the family and the friends.
Right.
They only know the name and the address of that one holder. The good thing about the cashless solution is because people are registering, you suddenly understand everybody within that stadium. You've got a profile for them. You understand what they buy. You understand when they enter the stadium. You understand when they leave. You understand whether they go to the fan park.
Right.
And that's one of the huge benefits of it. So yeah, that profile mix can't actually happen.
Okay. Thank you so much, Jason. We haven't got any other questions which you have not answered yet. So, guys, this is we just got like a few more minutes to go. So, Jason, do you want to end up like saying something towards cashless and let our audience know more about it, like so they can get convinced, or they should read more about it, what exactly it is?
I mean, I think, as I say, I don't want it to be a sales pitch, really. And for me, this today was, as it was mentioned, was really about debunking the myths and really trying to explain what it is, cashless, and how really what we do differs to credit cards, debit cards, and Google and Apple Pay. Because I think, again, there is a problem in some ways with the whole name of cashless, because people have different perceptions of what it really is. I think for me, the key to what we do and our type of technology, the key difference is really, as I say, is it's around the data piece. It's around, I think, again, payment solutions are one thing, but I think most people on this call who come from an event background or a sporting background will understand that sports fans, music fans, event fans, they're not always, they are, that we're an idiosyncratic race of people. I'm a huge music fan and I'm a huge sport fan, and I know the people I mix with at gigs and concerts and sporting events and festivals. We do have a slightly different view maybe than sometimes the people walking the streets. And I think you've got to really also, whether it be Tappit or anybody else, if you're going to look at payment solutions and you're going to look at cashless or debit cards, credit cards, wherever, I think trying to work with people who also understand or have an understanding of the challenges of you as event owners is actually a really important element of it. As I say, it's not like selling beans in a shop. It's a different thing.
Exactly right. Like from my side, like cashless technology or contactless technology, I think it's going to be more in after COVID-19, and people will be like preferring more and as they get like more details about when they have bought it, from where they have bought it. But the only thing is about the security, about the security level, we have to inform them, and that's what the organizers have to make sure that the security level towards these systems is 100%, and the money, or it's not like a fraudulent things. So people are aware and people are safe, and the money is actually safe.
Yeah, I think you're right, Pramit. And again, I've worked in certain countries where, that security element is the main driver, really. And this is what I mentioned earlier, that, that like any industry, there's good and bad companies and more robust ones than others. And I think that security element is a really important point. And I think anybody who's thinking of going cashless on here that hasn't done, I think you do need to ask questions around that of anybody you're thinking of using, and where does the cash go? What kind of security, does it have? How can we, make our attendees feel safe around what they're doing? Because it is a really, really secure way of transacting, but you have to get that message across and explain why it is.
Exactly. We got the last question. It just says like before the end, for sure, it's going to be the last question. It says like, can the RFID cards or wristbands can be configured with access control within an event as well?
Yeah, absolutely. And we're doing that more and more, actually. So we do an integration with the ticketing partner, and yeah, we can effectively run the access control from that perspective. And again, I think it's a really good question, because it's something I'd always advise, because I think if you've got that integration, again, you've got more powerful data coming back into your ecosystem. Right. So yes, we can do it, and it is something I would encourage.
That's perfect. I hope, Farrell, you got your answer. From my side, everything is good. Jason, we don't have any more questions. People, if you have more questions, you can send it to us. We'll be sharing with you the gist of this presentation, what Jason has given. Thank you so much, Jason, for
You're welcome. Thank
session.
you. And thank you for everybody who's attended. That's if there is anybody out there, so I hope there is. So I hope everybody stays safe, and hopefully I look forward to seeing certain people on this call at events in the future.
Yeah, thank you so much. And I would like to thank our beloved audience for all the engagement. And also would like to thank our team members, Sahil, Saida, Manal, and Yumna, for being an amazing and supportive as always. Thank you so much, everyone. Bye, Jason.
Thank you, guys.
Bye,
Take
Jesse.
care. Thanks
Take
very
care.
much.
Bye.
Bye now.
Bye, Jenny. Take care. See you.